Hey, YouTube, what's going on there, y'all? Happy New Year. When y'all gonna see this, this will be
Happy
officially 2015,
baby.
Yeah.
Let's
Woo!
go.
Woo! You know what? I'm about to bring some drink out. Woo! Woo!
Turn up. Why not? Why not?
Yeah.
Why not, world? Why not, YouTube?
Woo! Nah, I'm just playing, y'all.
He ain't got nothing in the system, man. I promise you. We ain't been drinking.
Anyway, no, all
It's
seriousness.
not scripted.
All seriousness. This is gonna be technically our first video for 2015. When it's get uploaded, we're gonna upload it right at 12 o'clock, so y'all be able to see it. So this was our top 5 list for movies this year that we really enjoyed and really liked. This is gonna be hard, quite honestly, because there's movies that me and Joe have not seen that we know that are really good movies. I'm gonna go ahead and go down the list of movies we haven't seen, and then we'll go into our list. You wanna do it first, and then I'll do it second, okay? So the movies we haven't seen, we're gonna see it tomorrow. Initiation Game with Benedict Cumberbatch, which I know is gonna be amazing. The Sniper movie with Bradley Cooper, which has gotten so many different high ratings that's definitely they're gonna be talking about. Whiplash, that I know J.K. Simmons did such an amazing job with. I've heard Boyhood, that took 12 years to make. The cinematic magic I've never seen. Haven't seen that yet. Haven't seen Birdman. I mean Batman. Oh my gosh, Michael Keaton. I haven't seen that yet. Haven't seen Unbroken, which I know looks amazing spectacle. I think that Angelina Jolie directed it. And then Fox Chaser, which I've never seen Steve Carell like this. And it's got so many different good actors in it, but like I haven't seen it yet. So those are movies that me and Joe have not seen yet, which are notable. They're probably amazing movies. I think that I'm gonna pick some movies that are not on our list. So honorable mentions here. Is that on your list?
What? X-Men? Exodus.
Yeah. Okay. So honorable mentions here. I would say Big Hero 6. I really enjoyed that movie. I thought it was a really nice family movie. The Lego movie, believe it or not, I don't know if Joe thought about it, but when I looked at it, I instantly wanted to see it again. I thought it was so awesome to have all different heroes in it. I thought it was really funny. Chris Pratt that plays in Guardians of the Galaxy, he was the main lead. He does a great job with that.
I think they did that in stop motion too.
Yeah, they did. They took a lot to do that because it's a blend of CGI and stop motion. Exodus, Gods and Kings. I really enjoyed that movie. I had to make that one of the honorable mentions as well. I think this movie, I just saw it yesterday. I really want to put it on my list, but because I just saw it and I haven't seen it again, it's hard for me to put it on the list. Selma. Selma was one of the best movies I've seen all year, hands down. The problem is I've really thought about this list that I have right here. So I can't put it up there, but I highly recommend you check it out. And probably when I see it again, I'm probably going to replace it out with something that I've already seen multiple different times. All the movies I've seen on my top 5 list, I've seen multiple times. But another one would be Mockingjay Part 1. Mockingjay messed me up, y'all. It took me a long time to recover just from the acting level of Joshua Hutcherson as Peter, and Candace Everdeen, that's played by Jennifer Lawrence. They did such an amazing job on the acting level, and this time it was such a build-up that I cannot wait for part 2, but I felt like it was incomplete in the sense that you don't know what's going to happen next. And I felt like it could have been more, but the draw was that this was such a great conclusion. Kind of like Desolation of Smog. It ended on such a perfect note that it makes it such a defining movie. You know what I'm saying? And I mean, I really wanted to put it on my list, but it's on neither one of me or Joe's list. But yeah, let's go ahead and start us off. Joe, what's your number 5?
My number 5 is Gone Girl.
Okay, you want to go into that?
It was a very intriguing, interesting movie. There were very subtle touches throughout the movie that you had to pay attention to. Like even some things that go as far as the details and, you know, the actors' faces and the things that they say. There's very subtle touches to different lines and different cues in the movie.
Yeah.
It's a very intellectual movie, and I found it like very, it wasn't cliche, it was very misleading and at the same time exciting.
Yeah.
So that movie, I could not exactly predict what was gonna happen next.
Yeah.
That I really enjoyed it. So that's why it's made number 5. Number 5, I feel like my taste in movies might be, a little bit different from the, average, viewer or critic, but this list, if it made the number 5, at least it might be even, I would say, higher on the list. But just my preferences is just on number 5.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, believe it or not, Gone Girl is actually on my list as well, which I'll give the number later on. But I have to say that Rosamund Pike, that played the wife of this movie, she does such amazing acting. I'd be surprised if she's not gotten an Oscar nomination. As well as Ben Affleck did a great job on an acting level as well, keeping you guessing like what his intentions were throughout the whole entire movie. I didn't read the book, but they defined it through the character development and the screenplay and even the acting, which is so amazing. So yeah, I just wanted to add on to that. What's your number 4?
Guardians of the Galaxy.
Oh, I got the feeling. Nah, I'm just playing. Go ahead.
Yeah, Guardians of the Galaxy.
Word.
Reason being, I mean, yes, it was definitely, the comedy was there, the action was there,
Yeah.
Not only that, but the cast,
You wouldn't expected them
Exactly.
to click like that.
exactly,
And they made it their own movie.
exactly. Also, I definitely like how they did the villain. I love a good villain, especially a superhero movie. I love a good villain. What was the villain's name? What's the villain?
It's about Lee Pace character?
Yeah.
Oh,
What's his name? Let's get the character's name.
why do we always do that? We always
don't know.
forget that. I don't know why we always forget that.
But anyway, Lee Pace, he did a great job in this movie. Even with his character's posture. He looked intimidating. I don't know about you guys, but to me, he looked very intimidating.
Yeah.
Plus that hammer that he wielded, I was like, this guy is kind of otherworldly, menacing.
Yeah.
And another villain that was like that was the Dark Elves in the second Thor. I thought, like, yo, this is crazy. Like, these guys look very menacing. Ronin. I should remember that because it's a samurai. But
Yeah.
Anyway.
But it was so many notable characters there. I mean, you got Yondu that was like the thug.
Yondu's
with the
weapon, bruh. That was crazy.
I was like, what?
That was insane. I've never seen anything like that.
I mean, you got to actually really see the size of Thanos as well.
And then you seen Ronin actually be the first person to stand up. You know what I'm saying? So it was like, I was like, wow. He actually stood up to Thanos. I was like, yo, this dude might have a couple screws missing.
Yeah.
So
it was just
good.
awesome. It was an awesome movie. That's definitely on my list as well. I'm not gonna say what number it is, but yeah. What's your number 3?
Number 3 has to be Interstellar. Has to be Interstellar, man. Reason being, if you notice like my top 4, you probably notice I'm more action oriented. I enjoy great action movies. This is a great action movie, great story, powered behind great scientific thoughts and theories.
Yeah.
So it was definitely like an intellectual movie.
Yeah.
And at the same time, this movie has ventured into areas unexplored. I think that's caught by camera.
Yeah, cinematically.
Cinematically, any other movie I've seen.
Yeah. It's funny because Christopher Nolan, he always finds a way of out-topping himself. I mean, Prestige I thought was just amazing. Yeah. I mean, to have magicians going up against each other, but then The Dark Knight, y'all know I love that. That whole entire franchise, I loved how they did The Begins and Dark Knight. But then when Inception came out, I was like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
Like, he can go the distance, but it's like the scope of Interstellar is so grand and vast. Like, I was like, man, this got a nostalgic feel to it. But then it's unlike anything I've ever seen before, witnessed, or even thought about. It's like it came pure out of dreams.
Exactly.
Like,
and the thing about it is, I would not expect the writers and the director to take that character so far in the movie.
Yeah,
like, I did not expect it at all. And so when we were watching it in the theaters, man, that movie had me tripping. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah,
You
one of
know,
our friends
so-
on that sticky Izzy, he was jacked up.
Watch the movie.
If you all kind of
Watch it.
or don't look anyway,
Yes,
moving on. What's your second? What's your number 2?
Number 2, dude, has to be Snowpiercer. Has to be Snowpiercer. And reason being for Snowpiercer, that movie, like, you know, Sam said, you know, that the Mockingjay movie had him messed up. This movie had me messed up, man. I was like, this, I was distraught. I was like, the heinousness, the raw, like the apocalyptic feel of the movie was like just so hard hitting.
Yeah.
It hit the fan. Like, if anything could go wrong in our society and, you know, how the system works, it was like, this is probably the worst it could get.
Yeah.
And the reason being is, like, you see it's super bad and people don't even realize how bad it is to the end. And it's like, it's so bad, but yet at the same time you see it's still, they're trying to have a government structure on this train.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, that's what they have instituted just in order to survive.
Yeah.
And that's how bad it is. Like,
yeah, it's like I'm that's on my list as well. That movie, the first opening scenes had me going that this is gonna be totally different. Kind of like when I looked at Kill Bill and certain scenes that was kind of happening in the first Kill Bill, and the rawness of the gore and stuff like that. I was like, man, this is crazy. I can't believe what's going on, or how brutally honest the things that are being perpetuated in front of me. But when I saw this movie, and then I looked at the front cover of the movie, I had no idea that was Chris Evans to start with, first of all. But the action sequences, the way things are brought into your face, the story development, like, there are so many moments that you can pinpoint. But when we first looked at it, we didn't even see it with subtitles. So we didn't even know what some things were even happening. But yet it was so eye-catching that you could tell through the performances and through the screenplay that it was acted out well. And it's unlike any story that I really kind of seen before as well. It was such an amazing movie. Like, it's definitely on one of my lists. And yeah, I'll talk about that later. But I'm curious, what's your number 1?
My number 1 has to be X-Men Days of Future Past.
Wow.
It has to be. Because of quite a few reasons. One of the main reasons was, you know, the X-Men series up until that point, or up until the one where they featured the one before that one, or the one before this one. Up until that point, it was like, you know, it was okay. It was okay. It was an okay series. You know, I was like, all right, it's entertaining. But how they reamped this, to me, was so brilliant. It was just so genius how they did it. Mm-hmm. It was very clever thought out. I think it was just that was good production. That was great production. And also, one of the reasons why I really enjoyed it was the fact that I was really worried for each character throughout the entire movie. And for an action movie, especially a superhero action movie, that is very hard to do.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, I was worried for each and every character throughout the movie, and also each character, you see the past, their history, their problems, their issues, also, and what kind of makes them tick. Also, what I really enjoyed about this movie was it's probably, if you will, I think one of the best reboots I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Probably one of the best reboots I've seen.
Yeah, I highly agree. I mean, with X-Men, now when I saw it, I had a lot of anticipation for this to be so awesome coming off of the Wolverine movie. And I saw Xavier and Magneto together, like Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart. I was like, what? How is Patrick back? You know what I'm saying? How is this happening? And they found a way of keeping me invested in such a way that I mean, seeing Jean Grey and seeing Scott Summers die planted in my head that any of these characters can die, because this is not going off the continuity of the comic books. So any of these characters could die at any point. That's what I kind of felt, the same as that gravity and weight like Joe did. But they found a way of not only keeping you anticipating, but they went back to the comic book mythology and rebooted everything in such a way that now that the franchise can be rebooted, but yet continued in the way that it should have gone to start with. Refuting everything that technically happened, even in the second one and the third one. And so it's like, it was such a great bridge on the mythos, reality of the X-Men universe, and everybody had their own keystone moments. And even like Jennifer Lawrence's character as Mystique, I felt that her performance was even better. I like the look of the tone of everybody's character so much better in this one. And it was really good. It was a really good movie.
Yeah,
so I can feel that.
That movie, man, I left the theater very satisfied with that movie. Like, I was just like, yo, like, at the end, you know what I'm saying, when you see like the old cast like come back, I was like, oh my gosh, yes.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah, that's actually a spoiler. Also, can I spoil what's after the credits? Cause
Go ahead, because the movie's been announced already.
all right, after the credits, you see the Four Horsemen. You know what I'm saying? You know, so they're bringing in Apocalypse. For you guys that don't know, Apocalypse is probably one of my favorite villains. Probably one of my favorite villains. So I was thoroughly satisfied with the theaters. I was like, hey, this took the cake. That is my 2014 movies that I've seen of the year.
Top 5 list.
Top 5.
Okay, so one of the honorable mentions that Joe didn't say was The Amazing Spider-Man 2. I think Joe really enjoyed that movie. I really enjoyed it. I loved the chemistry between Emma Stone and Andrew Garfield, Peter Parker, Gwen Stacy. I thought that they should have progressed that a little bit longer. The action was on point. Even the 3D was really good. The thing that they missed and they misfired with was Sony tried to control it in such a way that it deviated from continuing the story in a way the director really wanted to, and I think that's where it fell short for a lot of people, but I really enjoyed it anyway, so that was a good honorable mention. I know I keep on doing these honorable mentions, but I have to talk about these movies. I really do. One of the ones that for me hit home was The Wind Rises. Y'all know when I did the review for that, I was stricken with emotion by such a deep level of animation. Joe hasn't seen it yet. I'm gonna bring Joe and actually let him see it at some point. But The Wind Rises for me was one of the top animated movies this year. It was amazing, and in the way that Miyazaki, this is his last movie officially, but in the way that he showed the wind and how it changed and moved the environment of every character in such a way, it was just beautiful. And even the love story was so amazing. I'm not going to go into details about it, but that was one of the honorable mentions I had to talk about. X-Men definitely is one of the honorable mentions as well. Another one is The Edge of Tomorrow. The Edge of Tomorrow, based on an animated, well, not animated, but it's an anime that's based on, and it was such an interesting psychological sci-fi thriller that kind of allows you to go back in time. At the same time, it's repeat, like kind of like Groundhog's Day, but at the same time meets like Terminator, and it's such a good movie that I didn't expect. It was a sleeper hit for me. But let me go ahead and get in my list.
I didn't even know you bought that.
Let me go ahead and get in my list. The problem with my top 5 is going to be really a tie. I couldn't remove anything from my top 5, and I couldn't remove this, so I technically have a top 6, which is bad. But The Raid 2 and Captain America are my number 5 picks. Captain America 2, The Winter Soldier, the way that they developed this, it was built like a 1970s mystery action thriller, but it had everything that I was looking for Captain America to be redeemed. Because I mean, I love First Class, or the First Avenger, but the way that the Winter Soldier went in, every character was elevated in a deeper way. Like, coming off of this, that was one of my favorite movies of the year. And not just because it was a Marvel movie, but because they raised the stakes. I felt like this and Guardians were one of Marvel's best takes on the characters that they were given. And I didn't know how deeply they could take Captain America, but they went the extra mile with this one, and I enjoyed every second of it. And oh my gosh, The Raid, the Raid 1 Redemption was one of the best action movies that was ever created, period. And I said to myself, there's no way they could ever top that, you know what I'm saying? But you know what they did? They gave us Hammer Girl. They gave us the Bat Boy. They gave us freaking the main character going through a cycle of darkness just from the events that had transpired before in the first movie. And it actually had more depth as far as the acting, as far as the story, and then the action. There was three times the amount of action than it was in the first one. Like, I have never seen anything like the way that this was done. It was such an awesome movie. I really loved it. I can't wait for the third one. I'm sad that it's going to take like 2 or 3 years for it to come out, but I really loved that one. So those are really my bridge between the top 5. This top 4, I'm not going to go into detail with it because I talked about it with Joe, but definitely is Gone Girl. I mean, oh my gosh. Like, I had no idea that the movie was going to go that route or that deep or mess me up in that way, but it was like beautiful chemistry. Like a bridge between a book being read to me and it being brought into film. And I hadn't even read the book, but I could tell the way that the pacing of the screenplay was. I know that the author had his hands in that screenplay. I could just tell. It was just the way that it came and flowed through the screen. That was my number 4. My number 3, most awesomely, is The Dawn of the Planet of the Apes. Andy Serkis, thank you for reprising your role as Caesar. Oh my gosh. The freaking apes acted even deeper than the characters that were the regular actors. And that shows that the CG has elevated to such a high level now that you can tell real acting through the motion capture. And in the sense of, they don't say like long-winded things. It's the actions that they do, the motivation that they have, the need to be able to protect their people, the need to be able to protect the youth. But at the same time, you got corruption within the apes. Like, it's amazing to see and witness on a cinematic level, coming from when they started in the 70s or the 60s with the original Planet of the Apes to now. Like, I'm even more of a fan now looking at these past Rise of Planet Apes and Dawn of Planet Apes. But Dawn of Planet Apes, like, the way that they did Caesar and the way that his character sought redemption and grew from the first one, it was just movie magic. And I mean, the fact that this is a CGI character and I've paid so much attention to it, that's a defining moment on a cinematic level. So definitely that was my number 3. My number 2, All Day, is the Snowpiercer.
Both are number 2s.
I debated. Look, I told Joe, I said, I really want this to be my number 1, but it's not my number 1 in my heart. I know everything points to this being my number 1, but it was like, I couldn't do it. My number 1, which y'all can already probably guess, All Day, is gonna be the Guardians of the Galaxy. The Guardians of the Galaxy. I got the Guardians of the Galaxy. Nah, on the real, before I even looked at the movie, I kid you not, I listened to the soundtrack and I was like, what?
Yeah.
I was like, what is this? How is this gonna fit? You know? And then I go and I look at the first opening cinematic and I hear a song by 10cc, and it was Peter Quill. He was in the hospital. He was listening to it on his headphones. It's just such an awesome, sincere little scene where his mother dies, spoiler alert, and then he runs outside and then he gets abducted in the middle of nowhere. It brought 3 different things to my head. 1, this was awesome drama and screenplay written. 2, this kind of had that classic feel of like E.T., you know what I'm saying? And then I was like, okay, the CG is amazing. And I mean, I was like, I looked at it in IMAX 3D and it was one of the funnest rides I've been on. And even kind of like we and Joe had said, that you wouldn't expected Zoe Saldana, Chris Pratt, Batista, Bradley Cooper, and Vin Diesel to click in such a way on a CGI and a personal level with prosthetics and everything, and make you care about their characters and make you want to see how the group is. I mean, I have more investments almost in them than I do the Avengers, which is crazy because Avengers is one of the best movies I've ever seen. And I, looking at this, say that this was one of Marvel's best movies ever. And that says a lot. You know, I'm in high anticipation that the Age of Ultron is going to be amazing.
Yeah.
But this was one of their best movies. This and Captain America this year was defining. You know, like they went outside the box. They said, take that, Batman, Superman. What? Batman, Superman. You know what I'm saying? And you know I'm a Batman fan. Anyway, so that's my top 5 list of 2014. Happy New Year,
Happy New Year,
everybody.
everybody.
When y'all see this, it will be officially 2015.
Holla
So
at your boy.
we're out. Y'all have a blessed one. Please be safe. Get home safely.